The Toronto Blue Jays take 2 out of 3 games against the Chicago Cubs, but what seemed to be like an easy schedule for the boys up ahead has turned out to be a catastrophe. So without further ado, let's break it all down. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, joined by Nick Gosse, and we're on the road to 1K. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, make sure to comment on all these videos that we're putting out. We want to make as much content as possible for all of y'all. And look, we're going to hit that mark real soon. I have no doubt about it.
Definitely.
Now, Nick, this, to put it simply, the Jays are in shambles, and I personally am also in shambles. Just watching these past 6 games has been a roller coaster because a week ago we were talking about, okay, this team is special. They're finally starting to find their groove, and now this happens. 9 easy games, 9 easy opponent, and we started off like this. What do you think?
So I had to do the Angels sweep solo. Yeah, we at the end of the last video with us, the last recap, we talked about how you wanted to go 9-0. I said 7-2. Let's be let's be conservative. And now the best we can do is 5-4. So, and we need a sweep for that to happen. It's been not ideal. The Cubs series was a bit better, but even the games we won, we should have won by more. I thought we were gonna be dominant. It There were some good things to take out of it. There were some bad things, but I'm gonna put the Angel series in the past because I don't even want to think about that anymore after doing the recap on it, which was fun, but it was weird.
Sorry. Sorry about not being there for you, man.
You're,
I really wanted to. I really wanted
oh, I
to.
know you did for that one, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, these games, the way that they've started these games have been brutal. They're jumping out to these terrible starts. They're falling behind early, and they just haven't found a way to put these teams away. And what great teams do is they beat up on the teams that they should beat up on, and they play the close ball games against the upper echelon teams. And the Jays have been doing that, but what they tend to do against weaker competition is play down to them.
Yeah, what sucks to see is not only are we losing, the other two wildcard teams are winning, and Baltimore won't stop winning either. Like they played better baseball than us since the trade deadline, and it hasn't been close. And both Seattle has as well, and the Rays for that matter too. The only team that really hasn't has been the Yankees, which doesn't matter at this point. But man, it's hurting. It's really hurting right now, and for Jays Nation, it's not what you want to see at all.
Whoa, what'd you say about the Yankees? What'd you say? Because I thought we were going to catch them. I thought we were going to catch them, according to you.
I
Well,
gave a potential catch. It's not gonna happen. Though I'll tell you one thing. I'm not that scared to see them in a playoff series compared to some of the other teams like Tampa Bay.
well, yeah, baseball really depends when you catch a
Yep.
team. And right now, I mean, the Jays, the Jays are looking like a team that you want to play.
Yep.
You want to play against them in the playoffs, and it's just been a brutal stretch so far against terrible competition. The Los Angeles Angels are, I don't know, one of the worst teams in the American League, if not the worst team in the American League. The Chicago Cubs have been a cellar dweller since they won the World Series in 2016.
Yeah.
And now you got the Pirates, who are also a terrible team. That 7-2 would have been like the expected result, honestly. And now 5-4 is a disaster.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I would say, because even at 5-4, like if you would have told me last video 5-4, I would have been like, that's brutal, and like we played our worst baseball, and that's what 5-4 is gonna get us against these teams. You can't really get much worse.
Well, we're 2-4 now, and we
It,
got to sweep the
yeah,
Pirates.
this
It's
is
the way they've been playing. It's not a given. It's not a given. I wouldn't say we got 5-4 on lock here.
I agree. I think I don't even want to say we need to sweep but I have faith with who's pitching. That's what I will say.
Okay, that's fair to say. Well, we do need a sweep. I'll say it. We need the sweep,
Yeah.
and we need it badly. Just to tread, we're treading water right now.
Yeah, what are we?
We're
I don't know how many. 2 games up on Baltimore? Maybe 1.5 now if they win the
two,
Nikes. We're on
two
an off
now,
day.
and we got 2 games up, and we got 4 coming up against them after the Pirates series. So let's dive into game 1 here.
Yep.
I got the stats pulled up over here. Danny Jansen was the hero. If not for DJ in this game, we'd be talking about probably 1-5 right now, which would be even worse. That would guarantee a losing record against teams that we should have, I don't know, used as a tune-up for the Orioles.
Yeah. Shout out to Danny Jansen.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, he was great in that game. Like you said though, the offense was dead in game 1. Besides Danny
Yeah.
Jansen, he had 4 of the 6 RBIs, and I don't even think I look
Four
at 4 to yeah. So yeah, and most of the people just man, Danny though, the home run was huge. The walk off, that was the walk off game I believe it was great. Matt Chapman too, he's been playing great. I just wanted to throw
Mhm.
that out there, like every way, defense, offense. I've been liking what he's fast. I did not know he was that fast. He is sneaky fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game 1 was a weird game, especially coming off of the sweep. It was like there was urgency both in the crowd and from the players in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Matt Chapman, he's a shortstop playing third base. I'm sure he could start at shortstop for any major league team, and I mean he's the best defensive third baseman in baseball right now. Yeah, this team, you know what this team is missing, Nick?
What?
Marcus Simeon. And and I hate to say it because Marcus Simeon has been having a down year in Texas. He's turned it up as of late,
Yeah,
but the Jays and Marcus Simeon, it was just a perfect marriage between the two. It was perfect. And now you have the Jays struggling because they need that one more key bat in the lineup. And Texas, I mean, they're going nowhere. They
yeah.
just threw a bunch of money at him. I would have gave Simeon the 7 years. I don't care
Oh,
because I would have given it to him. He was such an important piece to the team last year. Like now everyone is shuffling around in the lineup. You knew when everyone was healthy last year, it was Springer, it was Simeon, it was Vladdy, and then Bo, and then everyone else had their spot. But if you had a guy, we saw what they did down the stretch last year.
it was wild.
We and I think if they made the playoffs, they would have won the World Series.
Whew.
The way they were playing, if they made the playoffs, they would have won the World Series. They were the best team in baseball over the last 2 months of the season.
I agree with yeah. I don't know about. I'm not gonna go on record and say they won the World Series, but I think they were one. I think they're the best team in the AL, and I think that against the Dodgers or whoever they played against the NL would have been it would have been close. Semien, yeah. I think they replaced Chapman with him, thinking that that would be fine, but both of them. That's what I would have liked to see, like you said.
Now, it's a lot of money. Simeon is a great player. Is he worth 7 years, 150? I don't think so. But you saw the potential that that core had, and they're missing that extra leader because Springer isn't in there enough to show the young guys the right way to do things. So Springer and Simeon, they are professionals. They know how to do the things the right way. They were showing the young guys how to work properly. And it was just a perfect situation. I would have opened up the checkbook. I would have given it to Marcus Simeon just because, man, that stretch down the year was so exciting. And we're just missing that one piece. Chapman has never had that type of production ever. He's never had a 45 home run season. He's never hit above 275. Simeon is a real superstar hitter.
Yeah, I Chapman had like 7.5 WAR year, but a lot of that was on defense. Specifically offense, I agree. He having him right now would have I think it would have changed the whole outcome of the year. But maybe they go after someone in the off season. Um, Jose Ramirez would have been nice.
Would have been great.
In hindsight, there's a lot of things they could have done. Whit Merrifield's not looking too hot either right now, but I don't know. It's a tough. We're only realistically the only reason why we're talking about this right now is because they're scuffling. If they were doing great, we probably wouldn't even really be thinking about Simeon in this very moment. But
Of course,
they need to figure it out. And I still think that they have the tools. They have the players on the roster to make a deep run into the playoffs. They just need to get hot and not go cold. Because when they're cold, they're either hot or they're just ice cold.
well, yeah, they're not clicking right now, but have they clicked all season? Like, look, they've had these stretches. Like, they have a 10-day period where they look like the best team in the league, and then they have a 10-day period where they can't buy a win. There's no in between with this team. There's no 5-5 over your last 10 games. You're either 2-8 or 8-2, and that's been the story of the season. Now my blood is boiling. My blood is boiling. We got to jump into game 2. You know me, Nick. I'm passionate.
Quick shout out to Jimmy Garcia for the 2 scoreless extra innings, though.
Yes.
He was.
Yes. The bullpen was huge. Barrios didn't have his best stuff in that first game, and they came in and gave us 5 shutout innings.
Yeah, he did his thing for sure.
Yeah. So great relief job by Jimmy Garcia and Jordan Romano. We mentioned it before we started recording. He's been on
fire. Yeah, nothing else to say about him. Loved Romano.
Yeah. Yeah, the Markham boy is flames right now,
and he needs to keep it up because that bullpen is going to be huge.
Yeah, for sure. We even touched on it in, I think the Red Sox recap that we've been talking about the bullpen all season, how this would be the team's downfall, and that's the only thing keeping them afloat right now.
Literally the only thing. The only reason we won that first game was Anthony Bass, Jordan Romano, Jimmy Garcia. That was it. And I guess Tim Meza. But yeah, it was shout out to Jimmy and the bullpen for game 1. That was about the only positive thing besides Danny Jansen.
And Danny Jansen. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, so that just proves that we know nothing. We know nothing about this team. We don't know as much as we think we know.
It's random. It's a random team.
It's a random sport. You never know what's going to happen on any given day. The Angels looked like the Babe Ruth Yankees in that 3-game series.
I wish I would have thrown $20 on an Angels sweep.
Would have been a rich man.
Yeah.
Would have been a rich man. Would have gotten a few more hats like that you have on your head right now.
Yes, would have been able to buy a few more. Game 2 was a wild one again.
Yeah, game 2 was pretty nuts. Shout out to Vladdy, found his swing a little bit in this game.
Oppo
had that Oppo field homer, and that's what I want to see him do more. I want to see him simplify it, cut his swing down. Just because he has so much power, he can do that every single time he comes up to the plate.
Yeah, he's been chasing a lot recently. His walks have dropped a lot. He's just been chasing, and to see him finally get a home run, he hadn't hit one in I don't know how long it was. It wasn't too long, but he finally got one. How many?
10 games.
Whew, so it was a fair bit of time for Vladdy, but Oppo was great, and it was at a fairly clutch moment too. And same with Teo. His bomb was he needed that. He was struggling in the field on the bases. He was getting a lot of flack from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's been terrible in the field, to put it simply.
Yeah.
He's been really lazy out there in right field. And I see a lot of fans on Twitter getting on him. Look, Teoscar's a great player and a very important player for this team. If he's not out there hustling and doing things the right way, that's not a good look.
Yeah, there was that, I don't know if it was game 2, but the base running thing where like the run would have scored off a Whit Merrifield ground ball up the middle. It may have been game 1, but either way, people were just ripping him on Twitter and social media. And luckily, he got back in the outfield healthy after leaving game 3 and started doing his thing. But yeah, it was a huge bomb for him. I think it's going to help him mentally because he was scuffling at the plate, like horrible.
Yeah, then he ended up picking up a couple hits the next game, which we'll talk about in a bit. But look, I'm going to sound like a clown here. But I told my buddy, he said, "Hey man, what's your play for tonight's game?" And I said, "Teoscar's gonna hit a home run. He's due." Now you could believe me or you could not believe me, but I swear, Nick, it was true. I
You
told
texted
him
me.
that.
You texted me in the moment.
Yeah. And look, $50. He won $50. So
Shout out to the TikTok. Keep putting your plays
not
on there.
I'm not gonna say that was all me, but kind of was. But yeah, Kevin Gosman had solid start, 9 strikeouts, 6 innings, doing Kevin Gosman things. Quick shout out to the boy right here, Big Goss, the real Goss, I should say.
Gosman. He was great.
Yeah, he was good.
I feel really confident with him on the mound. Like a bit more confident than I have with Manoah recently, actually.
Really.
Yeah, well, just the past like month, Manoah's been. I mean, I still have confidence in both in the playoffs if we make it there. Jeez. But his splitter's working, and I think I saw some. I don't know if you saw the same thing on the broadcast before the game started. I don't know how much of the game you were able to watch. At the start, like Blue Jay Central, but they posted his splitter has less like downwards movement now. It's like less. I don't know what he did with it, but apparently he made an adjustment and it's working well for
Yeah,
him.
because before the book on him was that if it's a low pitch, you lay off. If it's a high pitch, you swing. Because he would throw the fastball up, splitter down.
Yeah, and I think they were saying that hitters were able to recognize the movement like early, and now if by dropping less, they're able to recognize it less early, and he's been great for a while, whole year,
Yeah,
great
yeah,
contract.
absolutely. He's been great. He's been one of the most important pieces for the Jays this season.
Huge.
Hasn't really missed many starts, except for that injury, that freak comebacker that he had to take in Tampa. But yeah, he's been great, and I don't know if his splitter's probably moving a bit less because he's throwing it for a strike now. You know,
Yeah,
he's getting these hitters to look for it in the zone instead of looking for it down. Like you can't just spit on it anymore. You got
that's
to swing at it because he's throwing it for a strike.
yeah, exactly. That's something else they said, and that's what I've noticed too. He's able to drop it in for a strike early in the counts, so then the hitters don't have to just like not think when there's a splitter and they just don't swing. So that's what they did. I forget who he was playing, the one where he gave up a bunch of runs. That's all they were doing, laying off every splitter. And people were asking if he was tipping, and he may have been, but it's easy if you see a splitter and you don't swing because they're always balls. It's way easier to line up the fastball, as I'm sure you probably know, play more baseball than me. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's been doing great. I'm happy to see it, and I have full confidence for with him going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give a shout out, kind of an obscure shout out here to Trevor Richards. He's got a lot of heat on social media and for myself as well, just for being kind of unreliable out of the bullpen. And he was thrown in there into a high leverage situation, and he picks up 2 strikeouts in 2/3 of an inning. And then Jordan Romano comes in for the 4-out save, doesn't give up a hit, doesn't give up a walk, does what he does usually. But yeah, Trevor Richards handed the ball to Jordan Romano in a great spot.
Man, I had that written down in my notes.
Yeah.
There was a point where I believe Bass was in, and Schneider took out Bass to put in put in Richards, and I was like, man, I wonder what Peter's thinking about this right now. Probably fuming. But he's been great since I don't know when it was his past 30, 20 innings, and he strikes out a lot. He's actually I think one of our biggest strikeout arms. It's because of his changeup. It's absolutely filthy. But whew, if he can get it going, like that's good to have as a fifth or sixth inning guy.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't throw, like you just said, good to have as a fifth, sixth inning guy. I wouldn't throw him in there in high leverage situations with regularity. He had to do that a lot last season just because we didn't have the same pieces that we do this year in the bullpen. But yeah, I wouldn't throw him out there in the eighth inning. I was worried. I was a little worried because it was a close game and you're sending a middle relief guy in a high leverage spot, but he ended up doing his job and handed the ball to our best reliever with the game still intact. So that's important.
Huge shout out to him. He was going through it there for a while, giving up run after run. And shout out to I guess the Blue Jays staff for keeping throwing him out there and getting him spots where he can get his stuff back because he does have good stuff, especially with his changeup. And Romano again was dominant. So that's a recurring theme throughout the past since July, really, since the start of July.
Yeah. Well, the bullpen's been overworked in these past couple weeks just because they've been playing a lot of close ball games. And you need a guy like Trevor Richards once in a while because you can't roll out Jimmy Garcia there every day. You can't. You can't throw Anthony Bass out there for an inning and a third every day. Like these guys, like they sent Anthony Bass out there just for a third of an inning to get one out.
Yeah, because he had pitched a lot prior. Yeah,
He's been pitching almost every game that he's been with the team, and for good reason. He's a great reliever, but you need these guys healthy for a playoff run, and you need a little bit of relief in there with a guy like Trevor Richards, with a guy like Tim Meza, and Adam Simber as well.
yeah.
David Phelps too.
David Phelps, he's been struggling a little bit, but I think it's because he's overworked, honestly. But yeah, like you said, bullpen again. Like that's the main positives we've had from these past 3 games against the Cubs was the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the bullpen for that game; they held it down, and Gausman as well. The pitching has been doing better. So
yeah, absolutely. Now let's move on to Game 3 here. This was a bummer. This was a bummer. I thought we were coming back there with that Kirk homer, and then David Phelps. We said it before. He was struggling. He comes in and he gives up that 7th run to make it a
huge run. Yeah.
That shifted the tides right there.
Yeah, after that home run, the crowd was buzzing. You needed a shutdown inning, and Phelps has struggled like his past couple outings. So I was a bit curious as to why they went with David Phelps. But then I remembered, I mean, everyone's kind of worked. Maybe Simber you could have put Simber out there instead. But I have faith in David Phelps regardless. He just, I don't know. Yeah, once they scored that 7 run, it was the punch to the gut.
Yeah, for sure. And the bullpen was good apart from Phelps. Trevor Richards, another inning and a third. Scoreless, no walk, 2 strikeouts. He's been good. He's been very good. Mitch White, a second start in a row where he got kind of lit up. Just 1 walk, though, which is the positive. You know, I rather, especially against a team like the Cubs, I rather make them earn their runs as opposed to giving them free passes.
I agree. And watching that game, a little bit of unfortunate defense. I swear to God, every time Mitch White is on the hill, the defense has some sort of. They're not up to what they're usually doing. Besides Matt Chapman, he hasn't been pitching well, but he hasn't been getting much help either. And I get a bit of bad luck as well. But I don't have as much anger towards Mitch White pitching as I do to someone else that on the Blue Jays.
Oh, we'll mention. I don't even know who you're talking about.
No, we won't. Bullpen arm lefty. We're not going to go into it though.
And speaking of, okay, we'll mention his name here. Yusei Kikuchi. He's been rumored to maybe start Game 1 against the Pirates tomorrow. What do you think of that?
Whew. Oh, I didn't even know that. So, well, you know, the weird thing is that they called up Casey Lawrence today, along with Bradley Zimmer, and Casey Lawrence is a starter in AAA. So I'm not quite sure what the plan is. I was thinking maybe they give Casey the start, but there's also a doubleheader coming up against Baltimore soon, so maybe that's what they're doing. But
it's September 1st, so the rosters have expanded. So you get either 2 position players or a pitcher and a position player. So I think they're slotting in Casey Lawrence to that long relief
and putting Kikuchi as a starter.
Putting Kikuchi in a spot start just because of that doubleheader that's coming. But they won't start him in the Baltimore series. There's no way they do that. I at least I hope not.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I knew about the one reliever thing. I mean, I was thinking Julian Merriweather, but if they want to, maybe because of the not to start, but I thought he was going to come up, and now that makes sense with the doubleheader. And I think they're aligning their best starters up for Baltimore. And yeah, I'm fine with giving Kikuchi another shot, honestly, especially against the Pirates. He's looked okay out of the bullpen the past couple times, a lot of strikeouts, so maybe he can build on something. And worst comes to worst, we get Casey Lawrence backing up Kikuchi. I would love to be at that game.
And look, Kikuchi, he's been good against sub 500 teams. That's when he does most of his good work, just because he has good stuff. And he tends to locate when the pressure isn't that high.
Yep.
But when he's pitching against the Yankees and he's pitching against, I don't know, the Twins, he's going to struggle because he seems to be in his own head right now. But it's a conversation for another time. Enough Kikuchi. That was enough. Let's move in. Let's move into our segments here.
Let's do it.
We'll start with the most valuable Blue Jay, the MVBJ. It is the most prestigious award in professional sports. I agree, Ben Rogers. Now, Nick, I'll ask you first. Who's your MVBJ?
This was a tough one. There was honestly a lot of candidates for this one. But similar to last week, I will stick with a bullpen arm because that's what I like to do apparently. I'm going to go with there's two. I'm going to go with, because I'm not sure if he'll have another chance to win this segment for the rest of the year, I'm going to go with Jimmy Garcia for this one, for that one, the game where he went 2 extra innings, because he basically won us that game. Mm-hmm. Jenny Jansen too, hand in hand. I'm sure you're probably going to give it to Danny, so I'll go ahead and give it to Jimmy. Shut down innings.
Yeah, Jano's my pick for sure, because if he didn't come up with that godly-like performance in Game 1, we'd be talking about a series loss right here.
Yeah, I would have went with the same pick, but I wanted to change it up a little bit. And realistically, they go hand in hand because those two won us the game. Jano's bomb, Jimmy held it down in extras to give Jano the top for the single. So I'm fine with either of those. Shout out to Jimmy and Danny.
Yeah, I'm a position player, so I'll always favor the hitters. And you said you were a pitcher.
I am, yeah. I still pitch casually time to time. Few sliders.
There you go. So it makes sense.
Always right.
All right, so let's move on now to the Mitch White GQ Award for sexiest play in the series, and this is, of course, in regards to Nick Gosse saying Mitch White was the most attractive Blue Jay. Now, he hasn't been pitching like the most attractive Blue Jay, but who's your Mitch White GQ Award winner for this series?
Again, there was a few good ones here. I'm gonna go with one that may not have been the most fancy play or the sexiest play, but it was one that also contributed to winning. So I'm gonna go with the extra inning Bo Bichette liner catch double play at second because it got me hyped. So I'm gonna go with that one. It was a good play, and it was Bo, so scary, but it worked.
He needed a play like that.
Yeah,
he's been struggling a little bit in the field. That was a very sexy play, but I'm gonna go with my boy, my third baseman brother, Matt Chapman. And if you didn't know already, I am a third baseman. Matt Chapman had this play where the guy hit an absolute missile to him, wore it off the chest like an absolute mammoth of a man that he is, and just picks it up and throws a 90-mile-an-hour laser to Vladdy at first base. So, look, I have a soft spot for the third baseman making a tough play like that. So I'm going to give it to Matt Chapman.
That was an amazing play, and that one was one that looks a lot easier than it probably was, getting smoked in the stomach. And he caught it midair, didn't even bobble it. Well, he bobbled it, but he caught it midair and smoked it. Best arm on the team.
Oh, absolutely. And he makes every play look easy. Like, it's tough to give him this award every single time, but how can you not?
I know. He's going to have one every series.
Yeah.
We might have to start doing the play minus Matt Chapman at some point, but we'll
just have a little parody in the award. I think he's going to sweep it for the rest of the season, at least for my end.
Yeah, for me, I'll keep changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go against the grain. I like it.
Exactly.
All right, now for the Rougned Odor Gold Star, I'll give you a little bit of time to think about yours, but I'll actually, you go first here because I have no idea.
Man, I don't know if there's a good candidate this week because maybe the whole team kind of just had a stinker. I'm gonna go with my answer for this award was the collective fielders' lack of focus. That's what I'm gonna say, because they just I can't think of one player. I don't want to specify one player. I'm just gonna go with the collective. It was just a collective mess in the just their focus out there was some of their focus. Teoscar Hernandez a little bit. I don't want to call him out necessarily, but I'll do it. The play with Teoscar Hernandez at the base running where Whit Merrifield hit it up the middle and Teo didn't run a second base as hard as he could. Maybe it was because of his ankle, but if it was because of his ankle, then maybe not have him out there. But I'll go with that. But I don't put too much blame on him for that one.
Yeah, I was gonna go with George Springer here just because he went 0 for 13 in the series, but he was red hot coming
He was
off
on
the
he was on a 10-game hitting streak. Yeah,
it's okay. It's baseball. Everything evens out. I'm gonna go with Whit Merrifield here for the Rougned Odor Gold Star, fitting because he's a second baseman as well. But man, I mean, Whit Merrifield has not been too great since he's joined the Blue Jays.
no, I don't want to harp too much on our own players, but yeah, Whit's been rough. I think he'll I think he'll figure it out eventually, but I don't know if he's gonna get the playing time to. So maybe it'll be a next year thing. And I honestly don't blame Whit because he's going from playing every single game. He played back-to-back games, like 162 every single game of every season for basically his whole career, and now he's thrown into a different spot. So I don't want to blame him too much, but yeah, I can see. I don't think there was really a good because the teams we played smacked us. So there wasn't really any plays on them that we could harp on. So this award is a bit of a pass for this week.
You know what? I won't give it to Whit Merrifield. I'll give it to an opposing player,
Do it.
Franmil Reyes,
Yes.
for running the bases like a T-ball player.
It was comedy.
That was ridiculous. He ran his team out of that game.
Yeah,
in
that's
game
it.
one.
I'm gonna change my answer to that as well. If we had thought of this beforehand, I think we both would have went with that. But
Yeah.
no,
I just thought of it. I'm like, why is this defensive end trying to
it was
trying
weird.
to take second on a single in the outfield?
Tell you one thing though, when he hits the ball, it's gone.
Oh yeah, he hits nukes.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll go with that as well instead of KO. But I still think he should have hustled more on the bases because if you're out there, you should be healthy enough to sprint to first or second.
Yeah, well, if anyone's gonna tell him that, it's John Schneider. It's not. He's not gonna listen to us. I don't think he's watching Jay's Digest.
If you are, run faster.
Teo, you heard Nick Gosse. Run faster. All right. So that I don't know. Yeah, let's look at the Pittsburgh series. We kind of touched over it here. I'm hoping to see Kikuchi in game one so we can have our best starters available against Baltimore. Give them an extra day of rest so they can be fresh. And, maybe he has a little fire under him. Maybe he'll be, ready for the start. He's been kind of the scapegoat for the whole season, but it hasn't been just his fault. As much as we harp on the guy, it hasn't been all his fault, and it's hard to really pin it on one guy because the team collectively has been hot and cold.
Yeah, it's really not fair to him to do that. Obviously, he hasn't been great, but neither has a lot of other pitchers. Yeah, I want to see him tomorrow. It'll definitely make for an interesting watch as well. Because if he goes out there and gives us 6 innings of like 1 or 2 run ball, I'm fine with that. Because not only do we win, assuming we win, we get to push everyone back for the more important series. And Peter, speaking of future series, I know we already talked about the Pittsburgh ones a bit. These games are going to be wild this month.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. And we're going to be looking to live stream for that first game in the Baltimore Orioles series. Monday, Labor Day in Canada. We are going to be live streaming that first game of the doubleheader at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned for that. And that about wraps up this episode of Jay's Digest. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We're on the road to 1K, as we mentioned before. So let's play that graphic once again.
Shout out Ben.
Yeah, shout out to Ben Rogers. He is the GOAT on these computers.
Also,
Absolutely.
check
Yeah.
out the Discord. Link will be in the description. We have some people on there if you like chatting Jays while the game's on or anything like that. It's a digest media, so basketball and all that too is all in there. There's a Jays section where we talk baseball. If you do want to check it out, the invite link will be in the description.
Yeah, and sometimes this team makes me wish I ran Raptors Digest instead of Jays Digest, but that's not the case. We got to ride it out. We got to be here for the highs and lows, Nick. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. And until next time, peace.